I'm not going to thank my husband for putting a new trash bag into the trash can. I'm not going to thank him for putting his clothes in the hamper. I'm not going to thank him for unloading the dishwasher. I'm not going to thank him for changing a diaper. I'm not going to thank him for cleaning a toilet. I'm not going to thank him for making the bed. I'm not going to thank him for doing any of the things that just come with living in a house.
Today we're going to be reviewing a TikTok video from a wife and mother explaining why she won't say thank you to her husband when he does certain chores. Now, the point of this video is not to bash her. We don't need to say a bunch of mean things about her in the comment sections. What I'm really doing here is trying to dissect what would wear a man out. And I'm really talking to Christian single men looking for a godly woman. And by studying and looking at this video and applying scripture, I think we can see at least 4 warning signs that if you were to get into a relationship with a woman or marry her, that eventually she would just wear you out. Let's get into it.
Okay, I'm not using this person's comment to be mean to them. I'm using this person's comment because I think it's a really good thing to talk about.
So point 1 here is that a woman who will wear you out is one who needs to find micro issues to talk about. Hey, we all have some things that are pet peeves we want to get off our chest. You know, that's not a huge problem. The problem is when this is your norm. Are you finding issues that aren't really issues and thinking deeply about odd things about what you're not gonna thank your husband for, and then creating videos about it, telling people, making kind of rules and principles about when not to say thank you? You know, to me, that is searching for a problem. I would say in a healthy relationship, this isn't even a topic that would ever come up. You would never think about that, when not to say thank you. It's just a non-issue. As Christian men, we want to be defined by Ephesians 4:29 and also be in a relationship with a woman who strives to use her words like this too. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Let's keep going.
I'm not going to thank my husband for putting a new trash bag into the trash can. I'm not going to thank him for putting his clothes in the hamper. I'm not going to thank him for unloading the dishwasher. I'm not going to thank him for changing a diaper. I'm not going to thank him for cleaning a toilet. I'm not going to thank him for making the bed. I'm not going to thank him for doing any of the things that just come with living in a house.
So, I don't know about you, but this makes me wonder, what is triggering this conversation? And you're not gonna really know because at the end of the video, she tips off the motive of why she's saying all this, because it's really a non-issue if you just came into this blind and didn't know all these other factors that she had an agenda about. You'd be like, what are you talking about? Why are you worried about thanking your husband for this stuff? Who cares? So point 2 is that a woman who has a deep fear of being mistreated by a man will project all kinds of issues onto you. And you'll see later on in this video what I think. Again, I don't know this woman's heart. We don't know the motives, but from the evidence that she gives at the end of this video, I think what's behind this whole conversation is this fear of being mistreated. If you thank your husband for things that you both are responsible for, you're basically saying, as a woman, it's your job to do all this stuff, and your husband's helping you with this stuff that's your job, and that's diminishing to women. And she goes into this thing about stay-at-home moms get particularly mistreated. Are there lazy husbands who mistreat their wives and don't help around the house like they should? Of course there are. However, there are some women who are so upset by these men and they are so afraid of getting mistreated that they end up projecting their fears onto good men in weird ways. So I think this video is a good example of that. She doesn't set this video up with any context. It's not that she had to come up with these rules because her husband's a terrible guy and was demanding to be thanked for doing things that just need to get done around the house. She didn't say that. So it seems like she's talking about a hypothetical situation and has thought about preventative measures as a woman to make sure your husband doesn't slip into seeing you as a slave and mistreating you. So she's trying to tell other women, hey, as a woman, don't thank him for that kind of stuff, because that might encourage this problem that men abuse women by making them do all the chores and not helping at all. I think the bigger issue here is that she's making this topic an issue at all. I don't think this topic of thanking your husband for something, even if it's something he should be doing, is a topic a healthy woman even thinks about if she's secure in her husband's love for her. So the tip here is that if a woman's putting a lot of mental energy and talking a lot about issues that aren't actually issues, and it's just all about like preventing you from doing something that other deadbeat people, dads and fathers and husbands who mistreat their wives, and she's talking about all this stuff so that you don't do that and coming up with all these, it's just too much. Like, it's just gonna wear you out. This is it's just too deep, like, about something that's not complicated.
Like, if he would have to do it, if I didn't live here, like if he lived by himself and that was still a required task, I'm not saying thank you. That is just part of existing in a functioning home. Things I will say thank you for: getting my towel for me if I forget it when I'm in the shower, refilling my water and putting it on the nightstand, plugging my phone in if I forget to and I fall asleep. Those are things I'll say thank you for. I'll even say thank you if I tell him, hey, I'm gonna fold that little laundry later, and he goes ahead and does it. That's helpful to me. That was something I was going to do and he was aware, but he knew that it was something that would make my life easier, so he went ahead and did it. I do say thank you for that.
Point 3 here is that if a woman feels the need to assign labor in a very legalistic way, I think that's a red flag, generally speaking. In my view, the healthier a couple is and the more trust they have in each other, the less labels and defined assignments they use. Now, for clarity's sake, I don't want to be legalistic about this too, saying you can never assign tasks. You know, it's unhealthy if you say, oh, I'm going to take care of vacuuming and you're going to take care of mowing, or you're going to do the dishes on Friday and I'll do the dishes on Saturday. You know, if that works for you as a couple, no big deal. I'm not saying this is, you know, a huge problem in all instances. Sometimes it just helps to communicate, and if that works for you guys and you can do it in a respectful, valuing way, cool. But generally speaking, a healthy husband and wife will both just work hard and naturally focus on different things. A woman may vacuum more and the husband may mow the lawn more, but there doesn't need to be a legal contract stating which chore belongs to the other. They won't feel like the other person is misusing them because they are doing all this work that the other person is not doing. Rather, they'll see that both of them are working hard, but they're just naturally focusing on different things. In my view, this way of thinking is just going to create more problems than it's solving. It's creating a divisive environment where you can pick apart each other's workload. You know, you're comparing the workload in a very legalistic way, and life really just doesn't work that way. Like, you should be able to tell if your husband's a lazy bum and you're doing all the work versus the wife being a lazy bum and him doing all the work. You know, it's not going to be this micromanagement of like, okay, giving me the towel is good, I'll thank you for it, but taking out the trash isn't. You know, that's both of our thing. Like, that's going to be impossible. That's going to wear you out if you have to create this contract. A woman who is hurt, threatened, or annoyed by this idea that men and women naturally end up focusing on different things because of how God made us, that type of woman will wear you out. God made men and women different on purpose because they're supposed to come together and form a more complete team. When you need to create all these divisions of labor in your house, it creates a toxic environment.
And I think this is especially perpetuated in the stay-at-home mom community. And I'm just here to say, fellow stay-at-home moms, it's not your job to do everything. It's not. It's not. If you had a job where you got paid, if you worked outside of the home and you brought in a paycheck, those things would still have to be done. And you would expect to split the load. Though you probably wouldn't, but we can dream, right? Anyway, y'all have a great night. Love you, bye.
So if you were like me throughout the most of this video, like, what are we talking about? Like, why is this an issue for you? I think the last part clarifies it. I understand now. And it's that she has an axe to grind and a point to make, a bigger point that this is really pointing to. She's looking at societal issues, big picture issues, stay-at-home moms. Not me as an individual, but as stay-at-home moms, there's this general problem happening where they're getting devalued for all the work they do and men aren't contributing to the household. So are there stay-at-home moms who are married to men who are losers, deadbeats, not contributing, demanding and disrespectful and verbally abusive to their wives? Of course there are. Of course that's an issue in some households. And are there also stay-at-home wives and moms who are lying about what they're doing, being lazy, watching shows when, they have this lie about doing all this work all day and making it like their life's harder than it really is? Yeah, there are also women like that too. My point here is that it's generally just unwise to look out at the world, see problems, and then internalize that and bring all this junk that's happening out in the world into your home that isn't happening in your home. If that's an issue with you guys, then deal with that issue, work on it with that man, work on it with that woman. But it becomes an impossible task to fight this general societal problem that a woman has internalized and then just projects it all over you. It'll just wear you out because it's never ending, because you're not actually solving a problem she has. It's more of this feeling she has that society has placed on her. But if that's not actually an issue, there's not actually a problem occurring, it's just impossible to help her. When a woman sees an issue and then needs to create her identity around it, this is when she will constantly find ways to accuse you of doing that issue. Look for a woman who knows that individuals are different than other individuals. If she likes to talk about men doing this and women doing that, it's a red flag. It's like when one person does something unlawful and then the government wants to punish all the citizens by creating an unnecessary law. These types of solutions create more problems than they solve. A biblical woman will know how to retain her God-given femininity in a world that is tempting her and pushing her to hate men. Now, again, to be clear, I'm not trying to say this woman fits into all these statements I'm saying. I'm not saying she hates men, but it's a good snapshot of this issue of someone who's going to wear you out, some signs to see. So, just kind of wrapping up here, what do I think about this idea of not thanking your husband for certain chores he's doing? Well, to me, I go back to a passage like Jesus washing his disciples' feet. He did that as an example to us. He was not the one who was supposed to be washing their feet. And that was the point. He was saying to really love each other, you don't want to just do what's required. You want to go above and beyond and show these people that you love them by serving them in ways you don't have to. So as a man, you want to look at yourself first and say, am I doing that? And then when you're thinking about marriage, you want to look for a woman who can also do that. If you won't ever do anything that is not required of you, that creates a harsh and unloving environment. Why was this woman so mad at her husband for blue toilet water? By looking at this TikTok video and applying the scriptures, we can see 5 warning signs of a woman who would be a huge complainer if you ended up marrying her. I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com. I'll see you at the next video. God bless.